Howdy, folks. It's Meandering Mike in the Man Cave of Madness. It's after midnight. We are continuing our game of Britannia. It is still turn one. The Romans have invaded, as we can see here. The southern part of Britain looks fairly well conquered by the Romans. However, there are some holdout Belgaes in Lindsey and the Downlands. The Welsh have submitted. They are conquered and submitted. We scored the points for this turn. The Belgae managed to score 2 points because they killed a Roman army. And the Romans scored a total of 14 points. There. As we see here, from occupation points. So besides those territories that they moved into, they also got the points where the Welsh submitted. So moving into Wales proper, that scored the Romans a total of 4 victory points. 1 point for Devon. Let's see, that's actually off here. So 1 point for Devon and a half point for each other area inside Wales. So the 2 provinces that submitted that the Welsh still own, that was worth 2 points, and these are worth 2 points. The Welsh held these 2 areas in England proper, which they scored a point each for, but the Romans would have, conquered those anyway, even if they hadn't entered Wales itself. And this here was part of the Britannia starting area. The other areas all here came from the Belgae. The Belgae lost half their starting force. They had 10 provinces with 1 army each. They're down to 5. But the Romans conquered 7 of those territories because the Belgaes retreated out of a couple. Okay. Point-wise here on this, none of the big point scores for conquering are available right at the start because these ones for 3 each are way up there in Scotland / Pickland. And the Pennines and York with 2 each are here. So they'll be able to reach those next turn. So everything else, besides these ones in Wales, were worth 1 point each. So that's 14 points. Now, do note that the Limes points for turn 5 are only scored for provinces inside of England. There's no points in Scotland, way up here, or in Wales for having these turn 5 points, where they have to either have a fort left undestroyed or a nation that has submitted to them to score these points. Now, these are worth quite a bit, even almost more so here, not quite as the conquer points, but they get big points for areas down in the south. So like Essex is worth 3 points for Limes points. A bunch of these other ones here in the middle are worth 2 each. So when we look at the turn that the Belgians are going to take next, they have a chance to potentially jump on some of these high-scoring territories that the Romans would potentially get on turn 5 if they could keep them free. Now, very often the Belgae are not going to be able to successfully kill any or many forts at the beginning. Often it's when the other raiders, like the Saxons and the Utes, start showing up, that and even the Angles start showing up in turn 5, that the Romans are in danger of losing their points. These points are scored at any time. These points are scored at the end of the whole turn. All right? So they have to survive the onslaught of everybody on turn 5, or in the shadow there. All right. So this plan was a more Welsh first plan than drive as fast as you can and beat the snot out of the Belgaes. So the Belgaes have a force here. We'll see what happens. One of the things is this only scored 4 points here for the Romans, beating on the Welsh, and they might potentially lose some good points down here, depending what the Belgaes do. However, in terms of long-term strategy, this has dramatically reduced the points the green team's going to get. The Welsh are going to score absolutely no points until the Romans are gone. They cannot score the points that normally would come on turn 4. And if, for example, the Romans had, say, taken Avalon and Huis, but ignored Wales and driven up, the center stronger, potentially the Welsh can score 8 points on turn 4 if they control all the internal parts of Wales. Now, odds are that wouldn't control everything, but, they might be able to get, 6 points or something, but they're going to get 0 for turn 4 because they cannot fight the Romans, and they're not going to be able to kill any Romans or any Roman forts, which they otherwise could have got 1 point each for. So the Welsh will score absolutely no points until the Romans are gone. So long-term wise, this strategy is good. Like if you know in your group of gamers in a true 4-player game that the green team tends to win a lot, this is something that you might want to consider doing, is pounding on the Welsh early. If the blue or the red tend to win, you might want to drive up the middle stronger. And if the purple tend to win, whatever strategy you were doing, keep doing that until the enemy figures out how to stop you. So let's move on to the Belgae's turn. They are next. So sequence of play, first thing you do is growth. So the Belgae have 2 Highlands with a half point each, Norfolk with 1, so that's 2 population growth. So up here, here's the track. I have to find the Belgae marker. There they go. That's the population growth. It's put on 2. So they're 1 point away from getting an army. So if on turn 2 they actually have, a clear terrain left or 2 downlands, they could get another army on turn 2. We will see. Now, what do they want to do here? Do they want to strike back heavily? I would say yes. Why is that? This is their opportunity to score some big points. The Belgaes get 2 for each Roman army destroyed, 2 for each Roman fort. Roman forts are much easier to destroy, right? Roman forts fight like a regular army that can't move, whereas the good old Roman soldiers have that hit them on a 6, they hit on a 4, 5, 6, they're much deadlier. So they have an opportunity to hit forts. If the Romans had done this differently, if they had maybe jumped on the downlands instead of sending troops in here and killing off this, they wouldn't have been able to retreat. Things would retreat elsewhere, and potentially they might only have a little bit up here. And just like here, there's Roman armies with this fort. Something to remember, when someone is attacking into a province with Romans, and there's both a fort and Roman armies, you have to kill all the Roman armies, or if they elect to retreat away, before you can kill the fort. So the Romans are very good at defending their forts with troops stationed there. So we will see how bad this is. Now, there are a couple strategies the Belgae could do. Essex is worth the most points to the Romans for Lemus points in turn 5. Well, there's Cheshire, Essex, and York. Cheshire, Essex, and York. Those are worth 3 Lemus points each on turn 5. So taking out Essex potentially denies the Roman 3 points. Huis, Kent, North and South Mercia. There's a whole bunch of them. Norfolk, which they don't have yet. Suffolk here. Sussex and Wessex. Those are all worth 2 points potentially. Now, these Belgae in the downland could hit potentially a whole bunch of these different guys. They've got the option. These guys could hit Suffolk. So this is another, put an arrow there, major consideration is coming down this way. Because that's worth 3 points. That's worth 2 points. You could say, oh, spread out and try to attack here, here, and see if you get lucky. Well, if you're only attacking with one regular army on one fort, it's like a 50-50. You know, do you kill them before they kill you, right? And if you miss, you know, their fort's not going to be able to retreat, but yeah, the odds aren't great. So, but you could get lucky and kill many forts. So like you could go like, I want to try to be greedy, and potentially they could spread out and attack multiple forts, or team up and definitely, you know, improve your odds to try to kill a couple forts. Go for the high point ones and do that. So I'm gonna go for the let's team up. Let's try to extract some revenge for the Belgaes. Let's not spread out and try to take multiple forts. Even though that's something you could do. you could just one. You could potentially attack. Yeah. Yes, I can visualize a way to attack 4 different forts that are alone by themselves. You might be asking, well, how can I do that? If he could only go to 2, these guys here, well, you could overrun this square. 2 Belgaes could come here, and 1 could come through to Essex, and these could split out to 2 guys here. So you could attack 4 forts with no armies defending it. That is something you could do. Instead of that, let's consider attacking 2 of these forts with good odds, and either leaving, say, 1 army behind in Lindsay, attack here with 2 and here with 2, abandoning the downlands, but leaving 1 in Lindsay. Or we could say, dang it, Essex is worth 3. And I want to hurt the Romans the most possible. We could move 2 into here, overrun, move 1 to here, and these 2 here, and have 3 on Essex. Giving the best possible odds to kill the most important area for the Romans. One downside of that is that's concentrating a lot of the Belgaes there that the Romans potentially could kill in one spot, concentrated spot. Another disadvantage is, let's say you move your 3 guys here and your 2 guys here, 3 guys here. You kill off the Roman forts and you don't lose anything as the Belgaes. You say, oh, great. Well, no. They would only occupy 2 provinces. For overpopulation purposes, that can only support 4. They'd have 5 armies. They would lose 1. So if your dice was really lucky and you killed both of these and neither of them rolled the hit, which is, you know, it's possible. It's not extreme odds. That it might be possible. They take no losses. You can lose an army. So let's be a little more cautious. Let's not do the crazy thing of trying to attack 3 or 4 forts. Let's go ahead and attack here and here. Well, yeah, we can say move to here. Let's stay in Lindsay. If they kill this fort, the Romans are not going to be able to move into Norfolk. If they take Suffolk, the Romans will not be able to move into Norfolk unless they overrun through Suffolk. And if these both live, that means they need 4 to get a 2-0 advantage to get through there. All right, this looks good to me. Now, I am going to not keep moving the camera around so much like I did last time. I'm just going to go roll the dice and announce the stuff. And if it's a really interesting odds, I'll go ahead and pick them up and show you what the result was. But I'm not going to keep moving the camera every single time. That was kind of clunky, but it'd be nice to have, well, right now, can I get that here in a way that you can see that? Yeah, odds are you'll be able to see that. All right, that's better. Because you don't need to see that part. All right, so these Roman forts can't retreat. Doesn't really matter which order I do these in. So let's do least important one first. Let's save the big 3-point province. Do Suffolk instead, which is a 2-point province, I believe. Yes. Well, again, no points are changing hands now. but this means if these forts are destroyed, the Romans will not get points in turn 5 for these. Okay, so again, the black is the attacker, and the red is the defender. Both are needing 5 or 6s. Whoops. All right, I did not have, when I put that back together, when I moved it. Oh, interesting. Belgians take a loss. Belgians are going to keep going. Belgians, it's a 50-50 chance they'll win now. Well, it's a 1/3 chance to hit, but all they have to do is, if they both get killed at the same time, they will have killed the Roman fort. They will still score their points for killing the Roman fort. The Romans will not do it. So they don't care if they get also killed. Well, they care about losing an army, but they can still score their 2 points for killing the fort. So again, the black die is the Belgae. Boom. It's a double whammy, folks. It's blood on the field. So what we do is we turn the fort over. That shows that's already been claimed by the Romans. They won't get any more occupation points, and they won't be able to get Limus points for that square. All right, so blood. All right. Now here in Essex, can the Belgae do a little better? The Belgians did below average there. I hope they could have killed that with only losing 0 or 1 armies, but let's do Essex now. Okay, they run it handily. They got 2 hits themselves. They didn't hit. They only killed 1. They have succeeded in taking out Essex. Ooh. All right, dropping these things all over. So that is 4 points that the Belgae are going to score. I can actually record that right now because there's no other points for them. Okay, turn 2. 4 points. I'm writing it down. It's right underneath the tripod, so it's a little difficult. So that was the Belgae's turn. Okay, we're 17 minutes in. I am going to go ahead and make this a shorter video. We'll just call it that way. I'll do the last 3 players in a separate video. We'll call this the Belgae Strike Back. Yeah, so this was the implications of the guys surviving, being able to team up, but instead of trying to defend in the downlands, they decided to hit to the interior lines that were exposed. They went for this coast here. Now, would the Belgae really know that the Romans would get more points for Essex? Well, you could say, wow, London or Londinium is here in Essex, so that's the importance. That's, yeah, so you could, it makes sense. It also makes sense for them to try to team up, get their troops together, reconnect their separated armies, etc. So in terms of, thinking through the narrative of how the Belgae might act, that made sense given the situation. All right, so that was continuing part of turn 1 of Britannia. This is Meandering Mike and the Man Cave of Madness. It's after midnight, and we will say to all you folks, take care and ciao.